Hi all and welcome to a new video. Boy, time does fly by when you're having fun. The Ewok Battle Force release is right around the corner, just about 4 days away on June 28th. So let's go over the Ewok Battle Force rules real quick. They are a surprisingly interesting battle force with solid rules. However, I do think it is bad that you can't bring Ewoks with normal rebels as anything but mercenaries. I wish they would change that rule. Personal pet peeve before I go into all this. There is a new keyword represented here, primitive. This applies to a lot of the new units. It is the opposite of impact and converts all crits to normal hits against armor units. The spearhead symbol is the Battle Force symbol and applies to all the Ewoks and Battle Force specific units. Now let's go on into this. Starting with what you can bring. The limit of what you can bring in the Force is rather interesting in my opinion. The commanders are to be expected, and Operative Chewie will not be taken as often as Heavy Chewie is much more useful in a lot of situations, as Heavy Chewie is the one who has the ATST. Ewok Slingers are new, and limiting strike teams is not the end of the world when it comes to Rebel Commandos. Ewok Skirmishers will be your bread and butter, although Rebel Troopers are useful as well for what the Ewoks can bring. Chewbacca in an ATST is a really good heavy unit. While it is possible to bring 5 Commanders operatives, I can't imagine ever needing more than 4. Special Forces limited to 3 is fine. Corps needing at least 3 is fine. You're going to be taking at least 3 anyway. Support being up to 2 is confusing. They don't have support units. Heavy being up to 2 is confusing, as they only have 1. This feels very much copy and pasted from other Battle Force lists. The big thing to mention here is Ewoks don't remove suppression tokens on the remove token step at all. Yay! Also, you need to take at least 2 non-Battle Force Rebel units in this army at some point, which is pretty easy to do. Now let's get into the new command cards. 1 pip, Arboreal Assault. It orders 2 units, Battle Force only, not Rebel, and the Weapons of Face-Up order tokens for primitive troopers gain suppressive and immobilize 1. Pretty useful. Also, after Special Forces unit attacks an enemy, they must shuffle their order token back into the order pool if it is face-up. Good way to make your Ewok Slingers earn their worth. The 1 pip Log Traps gives the ability to give out a 2 red, 4 black dice, impact 4, pierce 1 attack. However, it is only usable on an Ewok Trapper Mini. This is one of the Ewok's best anti-vehicle attacks in the entire game. So if you're going to use it, make sure you bring at least 2 Trappers to take advantage of the fact that, you need one of them on the field. Their 2 pip Hiding in Plain Sight is a super useful card as it gives units issued by this order inconspicuous, helping to control enemy ranged attacks against you early game, especially considering a lot of your stuff is only range 1 to 2. 3 pip for the tribe activates 3 trooper units and gives them Recover, Dauntless, and Relentless. Both are amazing buffs that only aid you in keeping up what can be an oppressive Ewok attack. Wicket has even more buff cards for the Ewoks. Close Call is a 1 pip that gives him a dodge token, increases his speed to 3, and gives him outmaneuver. However, Wicket cannot attack. This is a useful but not a perfect solution and is just there to keep Wicket alive. This is his get out of jail free card. Sneaky Scouting is a 2 pip that gives 2 enemies observation tokens, and that does help give your units a surge to hit they don't all normally have. Courageous Counterattack gives out a lot of orders and gives those who got an order infinite courage and adds white die to the attack pool, the more wounded the unit is. A very savage and useful card. Leia gets a command card! Woo! Everybody gets something! A Beautiful Friendship gives Leia and Wicket a permanent teamwork upgrade that is super useful in last all game. It allows extra orders to be spread around and makes for a very coordinated list. Now let's get into the new unit cards that came out with this Battle Force. Wicket is a useful card that will be a staple of most lists. For only 70 points, he has Dodge 1, Low Profile, Nimble. He is automatically harder to kill. Adding in Relentless and Scout 1 plus Scouting Party only makes him better. Both Surges is very useful, even with only white dice. Sharpshooter 2 is good considering his shooting is not good at all. Nice to know you can ignore all cover and give it pierce, so if it hits, it's hard to save. Unhindered means movement is never reduced when moving through difficult terrain. And as far as I can tell, he has no unique upgrades, however he can get access to some Ewok-specific upgrades. These will be gone over at the end. Low Gray is less of a hard hitter and more of a buff machine. Aid Trooper is super useful and lets you give that aim or dodge token to another unit. Inspire 2 means suppression is not as big of a deal as you can remove them, even though most Ewoks, normally can't remove suppression, so, Low Gray's useful. Low Profile and Nimble keep Low Gray moving and keep that buff ability up. You do not want him in combat at all. Keep him back and supporting other units. He has 3 unique upgrades. Secret Medicine lets you stack independent aim and dodges throughout the game, letting you distribute a lot of them at once with aid. Herbal Medicine lets you remove 1 wound or restore 1 defeated mini to an Ewok unit. It has no limit, so it's a must-take, even though it is exhaustible, so you do need to use a recover to get it back. Onward to Victory lasts all turn and must be activated in the activation phase. It lets you give out a free speed 1 move for every enemy trooper unit defeated that turn. Afterwards, it is discarded. Finally, a good reason to take C-3PO, the C-3PO Golden God. Master Storyteller is your best access to surge tokens for the entire army, which makes him a must-take. Compel is a super useful since you don't even remove suppression for most of these Ewoks. Infiltrate is only for 3PO and a great way to keep him where you want him. Divine Influence is an amazing way to keep 3PO alive and keep up all that amazing master storytelling buff, which the army really needs. Ewok Skirmishers are the backbone of your army. With 6 models, low profile, and unhindered, they are good and the Ewok standard. Having 6 minis with 1 black dice each makes them a melee version of V1 battle droids really, but they hit even harder. They will die fast, but get them in close and you can cause a lot of damage. Their upgrades will be gone over with the Skirmishers as they share a lot of the same. The Special Forces, the Ewok Slingers. They continue the baseline Ewok stats with low profile and unhindered. Surge 1 and Target 1 are intriguing. The Surge is super useful, and Target 1 means you are getting an aim token if you are issued in order. A range 1 to 2 1 black dice attack isn't terrible, and costing only 35 points, bringing 3 of these isn't even an eighth of your army, so keeping an open mind when reading these is useful. They aren't the best on paper, but then you look at the points and you realize you're taking a ton of them everywhere. All Ewoks can also take these upgrades unless otherwise stated on the card. Axe Ewok gives a very good and needed Pierce 1 Impact 1 to your Slingers or Skirmishers. Take a lot of these. Call to Arms lets a unit gain charge. It is exhaustible, however, it can be very useful. Taking as many upgrades as possible for these units is a must, and charge, getting a free melee attack in, especially for those Skirmishers, perfect. Forest Dwellers give Scout 1, which when combined with Wicket Scouting Party makes your army that much more mobile at the beginning of the game. Also, getting a dodge token is fantastic and kinda needed for this army. Insatiable Curiosity gives the ability to shut down an enemy upgrade card. This is amazing, and while it is a one-time use, it can be amazing to bring it whenever you can. Getting rid of an enemy's gunner or gun upgrade, or just really any of those 3 slots is fantastic. However, they are the non-unique or limited upgrades, so you can't really completely screw your enemy over, but you can do a lot to mess with them. Ewok Trapper is a must-take for the anti-vehicle command card alone. Try to take at least 2 of these, so that way you don't lose one and then are stuck with a command card 1 pip you're never really going to use. Chewbacca in an AT-ST, the only heavy unit in the Ewok Battle Force. This is your best and only vehicle, so best by default. Also the most consistent anti-vehicle in the Battle Force. Armor is useful, Arsenal 2 is needed, and Inspire 3 is magnificent. Weak point 1 rear is something to keep an eye on at least, but with an AT-ST profile it can be kind of hard to be hit from the rear unless you have super mobile enemies. There are no upgrade cards, but having both surges and 11 health is super useful. Grenade Launcher, 88 Twin Light Blaster, and the MS4 are arguably your best AT-ST weapons anyway, and are all super useful fire support for this battle force. Getting access to 2 black dice, front blast, 1 red, 1 black, 1 white, front impact 1, and a 2 red, 2 black, 2 white impact 3. All those are amazing and kind of what's needed to make this battle force great. You can bring this Chewie with 6 units of Ewoks, 2 rebel troopers, and just kind of fill in your commanders with what you have, and you have a list right there. Fill up the rest of the upgrades with the Ewoks, and boom, at 800 points, you have a crazy large army for Legion. The Ewok Battle Force is definitely unique in Legion. Being kinda bad against vehicles in the current meta is not the worst thing, and running hordes of these will be super useful. I think they are middle of the road, just slightly swinging into really good territory depending on the build of the army. Taking advantage of your amazing anti-infantry setups and bringing enough rebel units or Chewbacca to deal with armored targets is the best way to play this. These will most likely crumble against Dark Troopers in the current meta, but at least the Ewoks are fun to play on paper. In reality, I would be very intrigued to hear what you guys think of this. Have you tried playing in a tabletop simulator? Anything like that? Thank you all for watching this video. It definitely was fun to make, as this kind of snuck up on me and I looked at the day and realized, crap, I need to do this real quick. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you enjoyed it, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you all next week, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.